Hello, Christy. What's good? Pleasure to have you. This discussion.
Thanks. We are recording this, so this will go out later on.
We could record it. We don't have to post it. We can post it if you like, though.
All right. I haven't made any posts or anything about it because I lost track of some things. I was supposed to kick off my things on Monday, and things aren't working out. So I took a day yesterday and was just like,
Marketing material for both of us. Then let's get it.
all right.
You can
So what
introduce
are we
yourself
talking
real quick. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, all right. Sorry, I didn't hear you. I was talking over you. I
No
apologize.
worries at all.
I am Christy Mann. I am an 11 times published author. I only have 4 books out right now. I'm still working on getting the rest of them republished through my publishing company, Twisted Souls Press.
Nice.
Thank you, my love. Coffee.
Life for love.
And yeah, I'm an author. I'm dabbling in real estate investing and cryptocurrencies, and yeah, trying to help doing whatever I can to help other people achieve their dreams, mostly in the area of writing,
Yeah.
publishing, because that's where I've made it. My lifelong dream at 13 years old, I'm standing at Barnes and Noble at the mall.
Yeah.
You remember back in the day when it was okay to do that?
Facts.
Yeah.
Now you gotta get in, get out.
I was standing there buying my first novel, which just happened to be Stephen King's It. And I'm standing there and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to have somebody standing in this space in a checkout line, holding a book, getting ready to check out with it, and my name
It's
being on the
yours.
cover?
I feel
Wouldn't
that.
wouldn't that be awesome?
You just like, I haven't thought of this memory in so long, but you've just reminded me of something that I think subconsciously inspired me to write. We were coming home from like a family vacation. We were in Barnes and Noble, and I wanted to buy a book, and my parents were like, "Let's just go. Let's keep moving." I didn't have enough money for the book. So when you're young and you're black, you hear all this stuff about racism, you hear all this stuff about the division, and it's like it's an older white guy behind me. It's a Judy Blume book. He sees that I want to read the book and I want to buy it, and he's like, I'll buy it. And that changed, like, I've had a lot of experiences like that, but it's like, he didn't know I wanted to be an author. He didn't know I was a writer. I was like just 10-year-old, probably same age, 10 or 13-year-old kid, just trying to get a book, just trying to read something. And he just like, here's the pathway for that. So I definitely feel it. It's been a lifelong dream for mine too. My name is Daryl Lomar for people that know me or do not know me. I have about 7 books published. I would have my 8th book published pretty soon, A Rich Life. It's not my book technically, it's a book that I'm making for a friend, he has CP. And it was just, we sat down for some interviews. He told me his entire life story. And that's just I've just become that guy that people meet me and they're like, hey, I'm going to tell you everything about me from when I was born until I think.
If that's an issue for you, I apologize, because I am that kind of person. I will literally just lay it all out.
I feel it. I've learned to be the person that just sits there like, okay, I'll take notes, don't worry.
Yeah, and I think that's a great connection.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like, because I am that way, that's what made me who I am.
Word.
It's how I've gotten where I am, because I go in and I'm like, oh man, you guys, I'm struggling with some crap right now.
Word.
But 3 days later, when I've gotten through that, I go back and do a kind of a recap.
Word. You have to.
This is where I was, this is what I went through, and this is where I'm at now. Because I think too many times, especially with social media and the gurus that are coming out now,
Word.
we have no idea who they are, but here they are trying to convince us that we should do what they're doing.
Yeah. I have the $1 million plan and I don't have $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, you're a millionaire. How are you going to help me become a millionaire Oh, see, I see the bigger picture. You're selling books. You're
This is
willing to
how you
teach
became a
me.
millionaire. Yeah,
Yeah,
how part of your millionaire
you're willing to teach me, and you
for
want me to pay you and make you a millionaire. Okay,
and if
I
I and if
got
I
it.
get five other people and they get five other people and they get five other people, yeah, I had to. I was kind of wrapped up in that. I'm currently I have it right next to me, so I'm just gonna flash it. Rich Dad Poor Dad over again.
Ah,
I'm not sure.
2003, my life changed.
Yeah, basically, and it's like I read the book for the first time ever before I took this kind of spiritual journey where I realized exactly what you're saying. Like all these people are trying to like there's like three things. Like digital marketing is one major thing. The idea that social media is going to make you millions upon millions of dollars, as if it isn't the exact same as high school. The second is that if you're just patient and you just buy into the system, you'll become a billionaire. And it's like it's no problem. But all these guys who are millionaires and billionaires don't believe in government. They don't believe in taxes. They don't believe in like anything that the average middle class or lower class person believes. And it's like two completely different. Now I'm reading the book again at 27. The first time I read it, I was about 22 or so, 22 or 21. And I'm like, wow, this book is like low key fucked up my life.
Oh yeah,
It's like
oh yeah, it's
it's
great,
helped
isn't
a,
it?
it's helped a lot in like molding. Like I've learned a lot about finances since then. I've learned a lot about accounting and things of that nature. But when I learned about finances, I learned about economics. I'm like, oh, this is like all completely fucking fake. Like none of this is real, and they're just taking advantage over the fact that other people don't know that this isn't real. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like they sell the course. You have guys like Dan Locke or even worse, you have guys worse than that. They'll sell a course for $10,000, $20,000. They'll call it high ticket sales. But it's like if you equate how much they're actually selling and how many people are showing up, it's the same as a person hustling books on Amazon who sells like 100 copies of their book, but their book is $2.99 versus selling something for 20,000. It's really just that kind of psychopathia, I guess you would call it
Scam.
almost. Yeah, and it becomes very scam like, especially when the book that's worth $2.99 and probably nets you about 75 cents or 25 cents in value might deliver more value than this 20,000 course of Dan Locke selling Dan Locke to you. And it's like, I don't know. These guys, like, they're gurus in a way that they're trying to sell themselves. And the entire if they do like a free promotional thing and it's like a 60-minute free promotional, 40 minutes of that is just them selling themselves. And it's the exact same fucking formula. It doesn't matter who does it.
Across the board. Yeah,
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then at the end of it, it's like, at the end of it, it's like, all right, so I gave you this free course. Now here's my course for $1,000. This is how I became successful, guys. I don't do shit like that.
I have done a very quiet. I mean, I'm not all, all the rage about it, but
Yeah.
I have done a very quiet under the cover kind of campaign about it. I opened an investment company in August of this year. I formed my own LLC. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get into the real estate investing thing because I need to have a form of passive income that is high enough. And you being in the book world, you'll follow me here. I need to have a passive income that is high enough that I can afford to spend $100 a day on my book ad budget.
Facts. 1,000% facts. Yes, that's so true.
$100 a day, no less. No less. And so it's one of the things that I tell people when I come across newcomers that are like, what's the first thing I need to do when I'm writing my book? Set up your ad spend budget now. Start saving for it.
That's it.
Now.
That's really it.
That passive income stream set up and do it yesterday. Not next week, not next month, because you're going to be where I am, struggling to try to make it and still trying to write books.
And then still trying to build something outside of books as well.
And it is so hard. And realizing now where I'm at, this is going into year 5 for me.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I haven't released a new book since February last year.
Still pretty good. Well, you have
Um,
11 books out. So that's a really, we have 11 books that are finished. You have 4 books that are available.
I have, yes,
Okay.
exactly. I actually have, I did a rebrand. I self-published,
Mhm.
and then I went through this period of time where Twisted Souls got stuck in my head. I write horror,
Yeah.
horror and psychological thrillers. I'm getting into nonfiction this year. I'll have a couple of books out this year that are more nonfiction, and I have one that I released before when I self-published.
Word.
But then I pulled everything. I had funny story, and I'll
You're
share it
here
if
for
you have.
funny stories.
It's not so much funny. It was actually kind of soul crushing for me.
Oh,
But it's what prompted the creating my own press. You and I have had discussions about, was it you that was like, I don't understand the concept of being self-published but having your own publishing company?
word.
Does it defeat the purpose?
Yeah, it doesn't kind of defeat because it's like usually when you become like, I have the same kind of, I began as self-published because I didn't want anybody touching my stuff. I didn't want anybody telling me you got to eliminate these 5 chapters and I think they're important. And as I like now, I don't have like a hardcore perspective on it, but it's like just from my perspective of being self-published and not wanting any publisher dealing with my stuff. Now it's like if you took that route and now I become a publisher, because I'm at that point now where I know a lot about the industry. If I become a publisher, am I like kicking my 18-year-old self in the balls or something? Like, I,
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And let me explain why. Because that was my thing. Well, for
or,
me, I didn't want to start a publishing company because that was more work for me. And at that point in time, I've always been, I don't want to do more work. I don't want to do more work. I don't
you're
want to do
smarter,
more
not
work.
harder.
And so what can I do to eliminate the work, but kind of scale what's actually happening with the work that I'm doing? And man, for 3 weeks, I fought and fought. I can't tell you how hard I fought because I was eating, sleeping, and dreaming Twisted Souls. I don't know where it came from. It got in there and it would not go away.
Word.
And I was like, and it came to me as Twisted Souls Press, and I was like, fuck no, no, nah, ain't doing it. I'm not gonna start a publishing company. So, and I have this rule of 10 basically with all of my idea generation process.
Word.
If I come up with a topic and I can't come up with 10 supporting topics around it, it gets canned. If I have 10 that I can go with it for a little while, it'll sustain, it'll last. I can build on it, it'll be all right. And I go through this process with every idea and topic generation that pops into my head. I'll write it down and be like, okay, do I have 10? Blah, blah, blah. There's 5. Now, okay, not good enough. Set it aside, throw it away, what have you.
I like that. It's really good for people that are in. I'm not saying that you're indecisive because I don't know that about you, but it's great for people that might be like anxious or indecisive because when it comes to that hard decision making process, I thought you were gonna say like if it pops in your head 10 times and you got to do it, but you're like it's a lot more concrete than that. It's like you need 10 other ideas to reinforce this belief to make sure that you're actually going to put forth the worth and action to execute it, or
And
else don't
anything
do
less,
it.
anything less than 10, it's not sustaining, it's not long-term sustaining. Does that
Word.
make sense? You're gonna run
Absolutely.
out before you run out of motivation. You're gonna be like, oh, so if you can't come up with 10 like immediately, for me, it's not worth it to pursue it at that time. Now, if I come back to it later on, oh, hey, I remember that idea. I had 7. Do I have 3 more? Yeah, I've got 12. All right, great. Now we move with that. But at that point in time, it didn't. With Twisted Souls Press, in a matter of 5 minutes of actually sitting down and going, okay, let's take it and see where it goes. Let's run through the process of 10.
Word.
144.
Holy shit.
144 in 5 minutes. I mean, I was like, man, we can do events, we can do anthologies, we can do products and merchandise, and we can do this, and we can 144, a list 7 pages long
In 5 minutes?
ideas and things that I could do with a publishing company.
Holy crap.
And not just for me, for other people.
Yeah, just in general.
Now that becomes something that is doable and repeatable for me again and again, but also for other people. And there was a major factor that made me go, okay, credibility as an author. What sells a book for you the quickest?
Value.
You don't know what value it has if you're just picking it up. What makes you open it up and read it?
I mainly read nonfiction books. So I'm not a huge fiction reader. So I don't okay. Oh, good. This is a good question. You always ask the best questions. So usually I try to like respond immediately, but I have to actually think about this. So I have two books right here that I'm reading. I'm reading these two books. This book took me about 10 years to actually pick up. I've owned it.
Hold it still so I can read it.
The Perfect Crime by Jean Baudrillard.
Okay.
It's a philosophical, existential book about the theft of reality. I low-key thought it was like a mystery crime novel, but it's not. It's the exact opposite. And
Nice.
Rich Dad Poor Dad, I guess like the first, I guess perceived value would be a better question. The cover, but like I only really got these books in my hand because they came through an actual publisher and they were advertised to me through word of mouth. I didn't just like, I don't sporadically just buy books. I'm like, I look at the reviews, I look at maybe the cover, I see what someone else got from the book. I might even go to YouTube first and see what everyone on YouTube has to say about. So the book has to be pretty like well marketed already, which is unfair to me because I don't do that for all my books. But I can admit the book has to be pretty well officially put out there and branded for me to actually pay money to buy it.
So there is a, you see the requirement of credibility.
1000%, yeah.
So as a self-published author, and this brings me back to my original funny story. It's funny now. It's funny now. At the time, my soul was literally crushed because that was 2018. I handed my book to I called them a friend of mine. They were someone that I had met through an organization that I was part of, and we were all growing pretty closely together as a family, and I published my debut novel.
Nice.
Death of a Secret. I was excited, and I had gotten, because I knew I was going to have to do some work to actually get people behind me and talking about my book. It's not enough for me to put it out there and get sales if people aren't talking about it.
1000%, I agree.
So what I did was I bought a copy and I wrote on the inside of it, author's copy, please return when finished. And I would give this copy away to somebody to read, and we would have discussions about it when we were together. It was a conversation starter for me with them. And usually it would be in a public place or in a place where we weren't the only ones talking.
Yeah.
There were other people around, and I'd be like, hey, how far did you get in the book? And then when they tell me, oh, well, I'm at this part, and I'd be like, oh man, I can't wait for you to see what's coming up next. And they'd be like, really? Because it's already been crazy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You'll just have to read it and see. Or there would be conversation about that only them, because they've read a portion or they've read all of the book, would be able to understand, and that would pique interest in people around. And they'd be like, can I have it when you're done with it? Absolutely. Hey, when you're done, give it to so-and-so. That book went around to 100 people in 2.5 months.
Absolutely.
Because I knew a lot of people in person, and we were doing, I don't know if you know what the SCA is, the Society for Creative Anachronism.
No.
They do medieval fight reenactments.
I know what those are.
Yeah, so they do that kind of stuff. I got into an organization that did that out where I was living in Florida. And so, yeah, it was easy to pass the book around within that community.
Word.
And have those conversations. And then a couple of people that I was part of in that became really good friends of mine, and they actually came out in a book that I published a year later on a totally unrelated series.
Topic, yeah.
but it was great because like I can flip through that book now and be like, oh, I remember that conversation because I interviewed them. And my interviews were, look, this is the situation. What would you say? This is what's going on. This is what's happening. It's really messed up. What's your response? And one of my friends was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, ah, going in it. So their personalities really came through in the book, and I love it. And I haven't been able to get it published. Production is hard. It's costly. I can do it myself, but I don't have the skills with cover design and formatting and all that stuff. So, so yeah, it's just kind of on hold. And then I was like, okay, well, let me get into real estate. But in the process of handing out that book, I handed it to someone who said that they were interested in reading it. And when they opened it up to the publishing page, they saw that my name was listed as the publisher. They closed it, handed it back to me and said, no, thanks. I don't read self-published books.
Yeah.
Punch in the gut, man. Punch in the gut. And I was like, well, screw you. I don't want you reading my book anyway. You know, in my head, I've never been that way with people. But that's exactly where it went in my head.
So people
It ingrained and it started this fire in me. I will always be independent. I will never get a publisher. I didn't sell any books.
I feel it.
I didn't sell any books. It was just me. My name on the cover. I haven't done a whole lot better with the publishing company. Let me backtrack. I have not done a whole lot better with my marketing of the book. And yet my books are still selling 1 or 2 a month without me doing any kind of marketing on them at all.
For people
because I'm getting out.
That's better than average. Like 1 to 2 books a month is better than average for most people. So
say that again and say it loud.
That's better than average.
1 or 2 books a month is better than average for most authors. Now you'll have those ones.
I wouldn't say for like the bigger corporations because that's okay. I love your experience. So what I started doing about last month is maybe November, because we're in January now, losing track of time. I started researching like the biggest named authors. And I think we spoke about this with Patricia. Advertising was the biggest bad enter, the #1 of all time, best-selling author of human history. 1.3 billion books, owns an advertising company. How can you not be a successful author if you own an advertising company? James Patterson, right after her, CEO, if not the president of a major advertising corporation and company. How did he get his start with Alex Cross? He was one of the first authors ever to release an advertisement. So it's like, Mark, that was like my biggest thing because I'm not a psychopath. I'm not a very vain, narcissistic person. So talking about myself and talking about my book is very hard for me to do with
feels
people.
Icky, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it feels gross. Like you want to go take a shower.
I want you to talk. I want them to talk about it for me. But it's like there's no other way. That's why I started doing the live readings for my book, so I can talk about the book while I can do that. Like if I'm reading the book, I can talk about the book. But I can't just have like right now, I have like 0 thoughts in my head about my personal. So that's like been the biggest, it's been literally the hardest thing for me to overcome. So I see everyone else like releasing their book, and I know a lot about publishing. I have a pretty good graphic design team with me. So I have a lot of content to share with people, but I'll share it once in 2018, and that's the last time it's ever seen again. And it's like people release the same thing every single day. And I'm going to get into it this week and try it out. But it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to relate it back to what you said, and I don't want to go off the topic from that. The #1 thing I heard that you did, though, is that you had a community around you already that was niche to your interest within the medieval Renaissance Reenactment Society. I don't know if I got the name right for that. But that's what you guys were doing. And it's like when I was in college, my journey is kind of like when I was in college, I had a lot of professors, a lot of teachers and guidance counselors said, you should be an author. You should just go. it's like I got through a breakup, something bad happened. I went from being an honor roll to 1 semester later, they're like, what the fuck? You're in academic probation after literally you just got here. What's going on? I explained it to them. They're like, just be an author, just leave, go be an author. But it's like, I felt like if I was in college, if I had all those people that had access, when I published my books, I was by myself. There's no one to have conversations with besides like my girlfriend, my fiance. There's no one to really talk about the books with. There's no one to share the ideas at all. So it's like I was self-published basically out of my apartment for my own mental gratification of self-publication. And now I started the group Multicultural Writers Company Collection. I can't even get my own name right. Collective.
It's a lot. It's okay.
It's a mouthful to like unify with other authors to kind of see what they're going through. And that's been a big help. And I feel like 2020, like 2020 was my first year of doing things correctly. And I think that's what you mean. I didn't own an IBSN before. So without an IBSN, you can't get your book in the bookstores. I was publishing through Amazon. This is my first year using Ngram Spark. And with Amazon, you can't get your book into bookstores. So it's like I kind of had to stratify, like separate myself from the group, not really stratify, but separate myself from the group that, okay, literally everybody and their grandmother has a book on Amazon right now. They have cookbooks on Amazon. They have like a 56-page book on Amazon selling for the same price as my book that's like 250 freaking pages. And their 56 book is selling because they're giving it to their wife and kids or whatever. But I really understand your process of, I have 7 books, but For the Crown of this book that I just released, For the Crown of Nadia, that's the first book I feel that was ever released correctly. Because it was the first book that it's on Amazon because of something weird happened the day of release that I had to put it on Amazon, but it's still an Ngram Spark selling everywhere. It's doing pretty okay. It's not doing as well as I would want it to for the money that I put into it. But just those 2 things, well, I guess 3 things, is having that community around you really changes things. Because you have people that in real life already like you, which is hard to come by these days. I don't know why. It's hard to come by people that genuinely, earnestly like what you like. Because I'm a huge nerd. I'm into League of Legends, computer games, and stuff like. I see like your husband or your friend or whoever in the background playing, and like.
That is my husband, and that is what is it?
You got good taste in men, I can tell you that. You got good taste. That's what you mean. That's how you stay loyal right there, brother. You hop on the computer instead of hopping on Tinder.
We game back to back. It's been really fun. The only game I have on my PC right now is Minecraft. And boy, let me tell you, okay, yeah, because I used to laugh at him and our friend Rob Lowe because they would do Minecraft and they'd be like watching videos trying to figure out how to do something. And then they would, and then they would go back to playing and they would play together and I was like, are you guys watching Minecraft videos again? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I like video games, but Minecraft, just the concept of Minecraft for me at that time, because I didn't know anything about it. Right. I had preconceived notions about what it was. And my friend Rob Lowe had been trying for months. He'd be like, come check out all this stuff that I did in this place. And be like, well, that looks cool, but it's all blocks, man. It's all blocks. So yeah.
I think that's
then I started playing.
And it couldn't stop.
The process, the mental process that it takes to create things in Minecraft is huge. There's more work that comes out of my brain going in and trying to build something that works the way I want it to, because in Minecraft you're limited to the block.
Word.
You ever tried to make a sliding door?
Never in Minecraft. I didn't know you could even do that in Minecraft.
I do. I have. I've made sliding doors. I've made elevators. I've made entire buildings, and with working and functional parts within it, switches that turn lights on and off, and all
once
of
you learn the circuitry, I think you're unlimited in that.
No, I
Right?
thought so too. There are points where you're like, okay, I understand how this works, and it works for a certain length, but beyond that length, now you have to add a component, and to get out beyond that, that'll go so far, and then you have to add something else, and you have to figure it out.
Word.
It's like you have to really go through this thinking process of, well, if this works this way, because I have a natural understanding of physics and natural law, and Minecraft is kind of in line with it to a degree, but then it's more compounded. And so now I'm like, okay, instead of being able to work with the resources of natural law and natural physics, how is it different in Minecraft? Because in order for me to be able to function in Minecraft, I have to understand that. So
It's
it's a
actually
whole new
next.
level of physics and natural law
Word.
that I've had to learn. So it's been a challenging experience for me, and I love it. Yeah.
I dig that. And it really, to relate it back to writing, having those kind of interests like outside of it, some people's interest is just like watching TV and stuff like that. When your other interests require you to learn a level of mastery, to learn deeper underworkings, it's a lot easier to like, because you're doing neuroplasticity at that point. You're like reworking your brain and how it works. When I do that, I'm playing a game now called Team Fight Tactics. It's a part of like a larger game I play called League of Legends, but it's like brand new to me. And it's like
I've played League of Legends. Yeah.
lovely. And then I jump into it and it's like this brand new thing. And it's like now I have to learn every single aspect of this game to be moderately good at it, to just come into the top 3 or the top 4, to not lose like points and like my ranking. I have to learn every, and it's like now that I go back to reading, it's like I'm doing like once a book. It's like making me apply small little things that I learned from this to reading. It's making me
Yes.
apply small things I learned. I'm like, I'm better at attention to detail now. Because before, like, I just would avoid editing. But after, excuse me, after learning like video editing for a while, and like having to edit out a 0.3 second clip of something, that attention to detail. Now I'm editing the book of Rich Life because it's when we made the book of Rich Life, he used like a voice to text like edit like speech device application, and there was no punctuation in the entire book.
My
I'm
head
not,
would explode.
yeah, I'm not saying like there was no grammar. I mean like there was literally zero. It was just words, and I had to go back over the past. We did this in 2018, so it's been like a 3-year process now of trying to put any form. And I did a pretty good job. I have like 60 paragraphs left to do, and I had to, yeah, I had to count the
Congratulations. Congratulations, because
I had to count
I
the
don't,
freaking paragraphs.
it's rough. It's
Yeah,
rough. I remember when I first started offering to edit for other people.
I would not do that for free.
I've had people bring me books, and now as a publisher, I have very strict. If you're going to submit a book to me, you want to read through the submission guidelines
Yeah,
very carefully, because if it's not, the ultimate goal is to have more books coming in than I can get to.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
word.
And if that's the case, I want to be able to look at it and go, okay, this has had, they've at the very least done a grammar and spell check before they send it to me. I've had people submit books that don't go that far. And then that led to, man, there's a level of professionalism when you're going to submit a book as a professional to a professional. That's bottom line.
Word.
That's bottom line. If you're going to submit, it's gone through at least 2 or 3 rounds of edits. And it amazes me how many people don't.
Nothing like that. I totally agree because I used to be one of those people that when I was in high school, I would just take like the B or the C for not editing. Like they'd be like, "Oh, well, it would have been an A," but I couldn't understand a word you were saying. It's like now that I'm doing the live reading, I found a way to hack Microsoft as well to make spell check more effective. because the basic spell check that they give you doesn't like, I don't know, there's a limitation to it. I can't really describe it too much, but there's a lot that it does not pick up. So I completely, because that's when you really get into things with your editor, or I imagine getting into things with your publisher, because there's some things that needed to be fixed that I would have to rewrite the entire sentence for. So it's like, if you don't understand the character and you don't understand the overall story I'm trying to say, it might be better for me to do that myself. And like, there's a lot of other, like, there are spelling mistakes in it now that I'm doing the live readings that I would have never been able to pick up with my own eyes. Like, I would use the wrong, like, spell the word correctly, but it's the wrong word to use for that sentence.
Yeah, but
or it's like the two,
your spell check only picks up whether or not it's spelled
it's wrong.
wrong.
Yeah, but it's like it's right, but it has no business being there.
Right.
Or
Yes.
oh my god, like my biggest pet peeve now is the paragraph button. When like you have like a block of text, you break it up with the paragraph, but the paragraph doesn't automatically indent, but you know that you pressed.
That's what I pay my formatter for. You work all that out. I could. I have the mental understanding of I was an English major all through school. I mean, from like first grade all the way up. English was my thing. I just was able to naturally grasp and understand it. But I was never really good at being, not quite to the degree of what a lot of us hold. Have you heard of a grammar Nazi?
Yeah, facts, of course.
Yeah, I'm not quite there, because while I can pick out and tell you that a sentence is incorrect, not wrong, but incorrect, and how to fix it, I can't tell you, well, because your verb is not in this, it's not supporting your participle.
I can do that. Yeah.
Get that away from me. I don't.
I can't get that deep into it. That's what I hacked Microsoft for. I hacked Microsoft to be my personal grammar Nazi.
I've seen so many arguments and all out Facebook brawls, it seems like, over the Oxford comma. Who gives a shit? Really? Okay. All right. Well, whatever.
I remember the Oxford comma debate, not like with you, but like in school, we would have like Oxford comma debates, and it's like, I felt like it was a mark of excellence adding that Oxford comma.
Something
it changes things. It changes things.
That was hilarious to me when the last book that I published an anthology. It was 10 authors, one book.
Nice.
In May of this year, or of 2020. It's a COVID-19 anthology, and it all of it goes to charity. The sales from it go to a charity where we buy gift cards and give them out to people who are making things like face masks, hand sanitizer, doing grocery runs for their neighbors, and things like that. But we pulled the authors together, and I had an editor. There were 3 editors on my staff. They weren't editors for my company. I had one maid, and then I had 2 backups, and then I had a proofreader.
Nice.
Well, there was a discussion one day because my editor and my formatter were having a disagreement over English versus English. And I was like
US English versus like
English, British English. Yes. Oh, okay. Because, and here's why it was relevant, was because a couple of the authors that wrote stories and submitted them were from Australia, where they speak
UK English.
For UK English.
Yeah.
The rest of the authors,
weird fucking Australian version of that, to be honest with you. So I love some Australians, and I listen to them speak. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I love the accent, and I love having conversations with people from the UK and Australia are some of the most vibrant and lively people, and
Yeah.
the way they talk is just hilariously funny to me.
It's like talking from someone from the South who just went a little bit more south.
A little bit more south, a little bit more south, yeah. So, but it was interesting and not something that I had considered, something I was going to have to break up and intervene in within my company.
Word.
And it ended up coming down to and being settled by my proofreader, because they couldn't agree. And I'm like, okay, I understand and I see where you're coming from here, and I understand and I see where you're coming from here. And I, all right, hang on, Kim, you're our quality control person.
Basically, yeah. The proofreader.
You are the one that's gonna look at this and say, yes, we're putting it out, or no, the hell we're not. Which English are you more comfortable? Are you able to edit both? And she was like, absolutely. And I was like, all right, then we'll have both. Because I wanted to be able to, it being an anthology. Now, if I was writing one single book and everybody was contributing to the same story,
It'd be a little different.
it'd be a different situation. But this was an anthology.
It was their story.
The individual stories within the same book. And the argument between the two of them was consistent or not consistent. If we are releasing the book and it's releasing in the US and people prefer to read US English, do we want to put out a book that has UK English in it? And I was like, well, yeah, why would we not use that?
I feel it.
You know what I mean? Why would we not use that, and why would we not showcase it in the book? And then, I mean, there were
variety, you know, like we're taking authors from everywhere and we're making this happen. Yeah. I think some people have that issue with, because we're kind of like running up on the timeline. But I feel like some people have an issue with vision. And it's like when you're running a business like that, I think it definitely benefits you in 2021 to have a globalized, not like to be a full-on globalist, but to have like a business that's open to any English speaker, to be selling books to any English speaking. That's where I'm getting to right now, is that I'm trying to make a pipeline. So my books are wherever people speak English, they got a copy of For the Crown of Nadia, they got a copy of Best Friends or something. Because you're the one that asked me, like, what does international mean? And it's like, that's the truth. Like, some people claim to be internet. They sold one book in China over the weekend, and now they're an international. But you guys are doing something.
They have sold, yeah, they've sold globally. That makes it international. But at the same time,
yeah,
it's American going global. It's not international.
Facts.
And the anthology gave us the ability to show that we as a publishing company are able to work together. And it took us 42 days.
That's
from submissions to publication.
That's amazing.
42 days.
That's amazing.
I have a phenomenal team. I
think that's the kind of team I have. Like right now, I have a great graphic design team, because I was doing websites and I was doing marketing and stuff like that. But I'm trying to niche down this year to something more focused. And I think it would be a lot more helpful to have people that are actually in the writing industry on my freaking team, or like intern for somebody. There's a woman named Patricia Mayo, and I offered to intern for her because she's very freaking legit and extremely professional. I would love to learn some things from her, or from anybody really right now. But I'm just, one point you made earlier about like Minecraft was the point I took from it anyway. Is like sometimes people are trying to introduce you to themes or introduce you to ideas that we can be a little closed-minded from, that once we actually step in the door and try the things that they have for us, fucking love it. You know, doing these Zoom chats was one of it. That like, I'm really introverted in my natural life. I don't really have a lot of friends or people that I really like. I have friends, like I've lived in a lot of different states and a lot of different cities. So I have friends, but I don't have any friends that currently live in where I'm at, you know? So I don't know. It's like I need a community like that. I need people that revolve around either, I would say, League of Legends right now or revolve around writing right now. Because the other part of it is that it gives you like a really just that social aspect of not being alone as you write or as you're working on these projects. You know, other people are going through it with you, or to just have help. You know, it's good to hear that you put a team together that can decide which kind of English to use. And it's like, but you also knew and realized that you needed help doing this. Like, there's no way that you're going to bring this publishing company where it can be. Sorry for that. Or where, sorry, sorry, this isn't even my actual phone in my pocket. This is her phone in my pocket. So it might have been, it might have been while she was in here looking around for stuff. She didn't find her phone. I have her phone in my. Yeah, I gotta get my phone. Her phone. I had my phone. I gotta get her phone back to her. Jesus Christ. Maybe that's like a good alarm.
Her trying to call it, find it.
Yeah. No, someone's like trying to contact her, and I want to just get it back. All right, I'm gonna take that as an alarm to stop talking because it's like a voice chat, and I just can't. Not a group chat. I really just can't. The ringer's off. Do you have any final ideas before I bid you adieu? Any? Go for it.
And I think you've seen me type this out, so I'm gonna try to put it into actual words without typing it out. And it goes like this: there are 8-point-something billion people in the world.
Facts.
1% of all of them will buy something from you. Not all the same thing, but something. It's your job to find that 1%.
I love that.
If you aren't making the connections that you need to make on that. Oh, and then there's the third aspect of it 6 times. They have to have seen your thing 6 times before they will buy it. So 1% of the population total will buy from you once they've seen it from you 6 times. Are you having the conversations in your day-to-day to equate to the number of sales that you want to have in a month?
That's amazing.
Because you got to have both.
Yeah,
you got to have, you got to have the, you got to reach the 1% and you got to reach them 6 times.
And then the 7th time is for the close. I used to be in sales, so like
that's it makes sense, doesn't the 1 in 100
contact? Yeah, 7 points.
The one it globalizes or makes bigger the understanding, the view. Because I came up with the 1 in 100. If you're not making 100 calls, you're not getting your 1.
Facts.
For me, when I went out on my own, doing sales for myself, I wanted more than 1 in 100. And I was like, well, why am I? And I was getting 1 in 100, and I was like, okay, but how do I get more than that? And I don't even remember where I heard it, but it was like, there's 8-point-something billion people on the planet, and 1% will ever buy from you. 1% of that 8 whatever billion that it is. All right.
I'm looking, Simon, because you raised the point, and I don't want to like just leave you in the water with that, because I think we both like Simon Sinek. So he had a point, and I can't like. Oh my god, I have to find it. I have like my notebook open right now, so just give me 2 seconds. People that are tired of listening, and Christy, please give me 2 seconds to find this thing.
Nobody's tired of listening to us, and if they aren't our people.
That's fact. They're not our 1%. But
that's how you weed them out.
Biggest facts. But it's like he raised the point called, it's not his idea, but it's an idea that he exposed to me called the diffusion of innovation. And it's like basically what you're saying. The first people, like the first 2.5% are your innovators. Like he used the example of like an iPhone, like the people that stand out line to buy iPhones, basically. Those are the people that innovators. When they buy your product, like the 100 people that were reading your author's copy of your book, bouncing it to their friends, asking for the first copy, asking to be at the ground level of this thing because they believe in you. When you make it, they want to be invited to all your cool alcohol parties. You know, they want to be
Right. I have 7 of those. I've been working at building my fan club
yeah.
for 5 years. I have 7 that I can count on every time. Everything I post
I think I have
and
like
going all out.
I have like
7 in
2.
5 years.
I have 2 people. It's like one is like a buddy from college who like I'm just surprised that we've stayed in contact this long. Out of the group, like we were tighter with other people in the group while we were physically present, but once everyone just kind of went their own way. Me and him have been tight. The other is my ex-girlfriend's boyfriend, who is my biggest fucking supporter. I can't explain it. I think it's not like as a girlfriend I had in high school. Like we weren't even really a couple or anything like that. But it's just so weird that he's like my biggest fucking supporter. I don't know. Maybe I'm likable.
Your
Maybe,
message resonates.
yeah,
He
facts.
knows, likes, and trusts you.
Because
Why the hell not?
I guess you didn't throw dirt on my name. I thank God for that. Thank you, Steffi. 13.5% of your early adopters. And then you get into like the weird people. 34% are the early majority. So like they don't come around to a while. There's like a saying that someone says, people don't support you until you're popular. So it's like, how the hell do you get popular if people aren't supporting you? But that's like kind of the paradox we're overcoming, is getting that first 15%. The 1% is good too, but getting that first 15% to at least support you, to at least be aware of you, to at least like want your product to be on their to be read list, and your list of books, in your case, being queried for you and sending that query letter. The 34% after that, that's when you kind of hit the tipping point. That's your early majority. The next 34% is your later majority. And those are people that probably aren't going to come around for decades, probably not for years. And then the last 16% are the laggards. He says these people come around eventually, but it's like, I feel like the last 16%, like when you're doing cold calls, know that 16% of people are going to say no. Everyone else in that, like, I find that like when because I do that too, the later majority, you might just need to follow up with. You might need to just get through all your no's for the week, get through all your no's for the month, and then the following month, they might have an opening for you. So it's like I have the experience with some people. This is my last final idea because it's been bothering me and I haven't made a public video about it. But I contacted this woman telling her I'm reading your book and I'm gonna give you a review. And she curses me out. Like I wasn't disrespectful to her. I didn't curse at her. I didn't say anything remotely rude whatsoever. And she just cursed me the fuck out. And I'm like, oh, now I get to give you a 3-star rating. You could have got 4 stars, now you get 3 out of 5. Now you get 3 out of 5. But it's like something like that. Like I own a pretty big group, and it's not the biggest group on Facebook, but I have Novel Eden, and then I have the multicultural writers culture that's growing. It's like I'm growing. Like I'm not anyone's enemy. I'm not here for ego. I'm not here to take anyone's spotlight or shine. I'm here to help everybody. You know? It's like if you're cursing me out, if you're cursing a guy like me out, it's like I can't imagine how you're talking or dealing with other people. Like I can't imagine. Like I get to a lot of interaction with people on social media that maybe it's the lack of personality on social media that you're just kind of left for interpretation. You're just left for like whatever someone sees you as on the internet. You're just an avatar of your actual self. But I would say just focus on the 2.5. You're saying the 1%, double that, I imagine, because you want better results. Focus on that 2.5 to 15% and realize that like a lot of people might just be assholes. You know, I don't have like another way to kind of put it, but like some people might just be.
Get them out of the way. And I agree with you. Start with the 250. That's where that concept comes from.
Yeah.
Because in order to whittle down to the 1% that want from you,
they're gonna
you
get
have to wade through and whittle them and weed out the ones that aren't going to.
100%.
And we get we get into a place where I'm working so hard, I'm putting so much effort into contacting people, and I'm not seeing, we get discouraged. We go through 7 and 7 no's, 7 yeah, I don't think so, 7 fuck yous, I don't want any part of that, don't contact me again. 7 of the people that are closest to you going, yeah, it's just not my genre. When you get through 7 of those, you're like, screw this. This sucks.
And then you got 3 more right there waiting for you to contact them.
I don't want any part of this, but we get tired.
Facts.
We get tired, we get frustrated, we get heartbroken because we don't focus on the 1%, and it's my job to find them. We lose that in that process.
I agree.
And we get into a situation where I have this goal, I want to achieve this, but I don't want to go through this to do it.
Facts.
You got 2 choices. You either go through this and get this, or you bring it down. How many times are you willing to do it?
Facts.
Do that. Do it that many times. That's great. Be honest with yourself that that's what you really want. Because if you're telling yourself, I want this, I want this, I want this. Let me get it in the screen. I want this. Just realized I had it all here.
That's good. You know, you got bigger expectations.
I want to be here, but I'm only doing the work to get here.
Facts.
Do I want to do more work to bring them more in line, or do I want to bring my goal down a little bit so that it is matching up more realistically with where I am? And then you realize, holy crap, I have the freedom. I have the freedom to not work 12 hours a day every single day. I have that freedom because now my goal is not.
I need to hear that. Let me get that in. I need to hear that. I have the freedom not to work 12 hours a day.
You have it. How many books do you really, really, really want to sell?
Facts.
You said 2 is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
2 a month, every month since May is really damn good when you consider that lifetime is an author's lifetime for the rest of an author's life from the moment they publish
past your death
through 70 years after their death.
Yeah.
350 copies for an indie author total in that amount of time.
That's amazing for some people.
Man, I've knocked out 500 on one book. Is it millions? Absolutely not. Was it in like a week's time? No, but it's 500 copies of one book.
I dig that.
In the first 2 years of that book's 90-year life, I surpassed that average 350 in a lifetime. That's
basically one book a day. Damn near. That's like basically one book a day. I had like a conversation with someone. I'm not even going to get into it. This is the final idea on advertising. I'm not getting the whole thing, but someone was telling me, and just kind of like why some people succeed and don't succeed. They said, I've invested over $200 into my book career. And I'm like, that's like 55 cents a day, right? Like if you double that, you're at $1 a day, and then you can actually put some money towards fucking advertising. It's like sometimes we think, that meter, it's like you spend that money, and it's like I spent about close to $1,000 to release For the Crown of Nadia. It's like looking at the release from November and expecting to make my $1,000 back 3 months later. It's kind of impractical.
Lifetime of the book. Lifetime of the book. The rest of your life plus 70 years after you're gone.
I would say at least give it a year. At least give it if you're only investing like $200 to $1,000, I would say at least give yourself a year. I mean, because it's like some people don't realistically have the ability to wait until they die for people to start reading their book. And that was like my whole thing, is that I want my roses while I'm here. Even if I only have 5 people that fuck with me heavy, I'm going to focus on those 5 people. And then maybe they know, go back to the original idea. I like when things go cyclical. When they legitimately and realistically, no pyramid scheme, no MLM, no bullshit. If I really connect truly with these 5 people, I have a group of 70 people now. I have a list of only 10 people who I can rely on to be active inside the group. But if I focus on those 10 people, and I really connect with those 10 people, they have the potential. Exactly. You, Diana, Karen, Angelina, there's like some people I feel like I'm rubbing the wrong way by being overly optimistic about life. And they seem to fucking hate that for some reason. But I don't really give a shit. I'm not going to stop being myself.
Not your 1%.
They're not even my 0.5%. They're not even in the 10%.
Yeah,
They want me because what they feel I can do for them. They don't want me. They're not a part of the group because they tend to add something to the group. They're part of the group because they're waiting to receive from it. And it's like, I get it. People are like that. But it's like, what are you going to be able to receive if you gave nothing to begin with? Like, I just don't get the mentality. I don't know. I just don't.
I have a book coming out let me do a plug here while we're ending things.
Yeah, give us the release date too.
My next book, I'm looking at just after Valentine's Day. So in mid to end February.
Nice.
My first nonfiction book is going to be hitting the shelves again, and I'm expecting a much better reception for it. And yet, I'm anticipating some serious kickback because of it. It's called Reputation is Everything.
I like that already.
For writers, and it's building, repair, and building, maintaining, and then repairing your reputation as an author, because that's what sells you. That's what moves you forward. Without that reputation, or whatever that reputation is, if you aren't building it, somebody else is building it for you. If you're not maintaining it, somebody else is maintaining it for you.
And good or bad. Good or bad.
Good or bad. And if you aren't in control of that, you're all over the place. When you start to focus and realize that, hey, my reputation is the most valuable thing I have. Man, I've cut contracts. I've cut ties with publishers that had no respect for my reputation. They totally wanted to cover their ass on theirs.
They care about them, yeah.
And they wanted to sell the book because they knew it was going to be, it was going to be a good seller, maybe not a bestseller, but it was going to make them some money. So they were all about it. But then they started doing things that affected me negatively. My reputation as the author, the title and the author name on that book, even as the publisher behind it, if something goes wrong or there gets kickback on the book, who is it that gets that kickback? Is it the publisher?
The author.
Hell no, it's the author. Their name's the one on the book. So it doesn't matter who you're working with. It doesn't matter where you go. If your name is on that shit, you own it.
Facts.
You don't get to sit back and go, oh, well, my publisher. No, you.
You gotta take this shit.
And then you get frustrated because you're like, well, my publisher did that. Then get away from your fucking publisher, because they ain't got your reputation at heart.
Yeah.
And it matters. It matters. That's like the most precious thing you have is build that reputation and make it what you want it to be, not what anybody else is.
I would add to it. It's like, I know, so there's two things I know. When you comment on someone, this is just social media stuff. When you comment on someone and it's like you feel like you have a good relation and they like everyone's comment but yours, this person has like secret animosity towards you. The other thing is too, is that when you're attempting to share in their success, or you're attempting to shower them with compliments, you're attempting to express your love to them, and this person has secret animosity to you. Because some woman will be called a bitch day and night, and they have no problem with that. They have no issue. And when you say, I truly respect you and believe in what you're doing, and I admire your hard work, and they're just like, run. It's not male or female, just run. I had another issue with a guy who, I'm not gonna say names, but he like basically signed a 16-year-old to his like publishing company. The 6-year-old gets in contact with me and with the group, and we have struck up a conversation. She said, my publisher said he's not going to pay me until I'm 18. And I was like, the fuck? Like he's gonna wait 2 years. Like he can't give the money to your parents. Like basically just giving out common sense, logical. Though it turns into like a whole internal thing on social media, I guess you would say, that other people knew about it and what was going on. It's like, how the hell is this 40-year-old guy who calls himself a pimp, by the way, he calls himself a pimp, taking advantage of a 16-year-old girl, and then he flips it around to make this 16-year-old girl look like the bad guy. I never like understood this. Like, so maybe he's
welcome
really
to
good
Earth since
for the past 14,000 years.
1776. You know.
I thought the solution was 1776.
Yes, and that was the point. That was the point of the post that I was making when we first, before we got on here, was that's where we started in 1776. 245. We came over here to get away from that force to think and act and do things a very certain way.
Right.
We came over here to get away from that. We built America on that freedom, that prerogative to choose what we do and what we're, who we are and where we're going and all of this. And now here we are 245 years later. This year is the 245th anniversary. 245 years, right?
Word.
Man, we fought wars over this. We've been
a lot of sacrifice.
There's been a lot of sacrifice for us to now be in a position where we're telling people on the daily on social media, well, if you don't believe what I believe, I don't want any part of you. Word. We're telling people on social media, and it's not the government. We're hearing, we're seeing all this stuff going on in politics, but where it's really happening is right in our social media accounts.
Word.
Right in there. Man, we are telling people, if you don't see what I see, if you don't agree with what I say, if you don't do what I want you to do, you're worthless. I have seen comments on people's posts where you don't deserve to live if you think that way. We're saying that to each other.
Word. And it's us. It's us ourselves.
That's
at the lowest level.
Us. That's not anything else. So here we are fighting tooth and nail for 245 years to maintain that.
And to build it for everybody here. Build it for people that are coming here. Absolutely. Man, keep going.
And that's what made us great. It gave us the freedom and the ability to think freely and create and make things and build things and be the first ones to the moon. And
now we're stuck.
And now here we are. Well, if you aren't going to call me by my proper pronoun, I don't want to have anything to do with you. What? Okay, let me preface that by saying, if you want to be called they instead of she, just let me know and I'll do my best.
Yeah, like you can't fault someone for like not being 100% in that when it's a brand new concept that's relevant to your life.
But we do, and that's the most detrimental thing to us that's happening right now on a very massive scale. And it isn't, we don't see it. We don't see it in the moment when it's happening. I'm watching people make posts and they're like, I told you about the comment that I had written, and it was literally because the post itself said, what do you call it when you tell someone the truth, they hear the truth, they know it's the truth, but they don't respond accordingly? I'm like, manipulation. That's what it is. You're trying to manipulate them into doing what you want, seeing what you want them to see, and acting the way you want them to act. And when they don't, they're an asshole. Not how it is, man. That's not how it is. And
that's basically exactly what happened today, is that the post was about a single woman, and it's like, I don't know, it's like there just seems to be, this is no offense to any like woman in general, there are like a lot of bitter single older women today that they're not married, and it's like they're not married because they're not fit for a relationship. They're not good at working with other people. They're not good at negotiation. Like, I'm not going to get into it to bash anybody, but I just have like There's this guy, Kevin Samuels, on YouTube. He makes like an advice column for people like that to find partners, to find high value partners, things like that nature. I do not have a dog in this fight whatsoever. But
What?
I just responded to the comment saying that this person has no relationship experience. She's talking about the like don't go for a ring in relationships. I saw something else about this that's like a guy can do all these things for you that are very fucking meaningful. If he dates you, it doesn't matter. If he introduces you to his mother, it doesn't matter. If he marries you, it doesn't matter. And then it gives you like this thing that ultimately you're going to have to work years of your life to build with somebody. You know, true loyalty is something that you can get instantaneously, but you can't trust loyalty first meeting someone. You trust loyalty over the years of knowing that person. You know, it's things that require, like, I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship with my high school sweetheart since a while. We've been friends literally since high school. It's been a long ass fucking time, like over a decade. I'm 27. She just turned 26. So it's been like almost the majority of our lives that we've known each other. This hasn't been easy. This has been very difficult. It's been worthwhile difficulty, but it's like if we were to listen to everything on social, especially for a young man like me, everything on social media is saying, don't date, don't get married, just have sex, just jump woman to woman to woman to woman. Like that's the kind of crap being thrown at me every freaking day. So it's like, I know, like this is propaganda, like it is manipulation. This is propaganda. For the other side of that, for women, it's like if you earnestly want a relationship, you earnestly want to get married, you earnestly want to have kids, and you want to have a family, like they're trying to shut down this perspective of having a family as if that's the negative thing, but being single and selfish and being unable to function with other people is some kind of net gain. Like I just called it out as propaganda. I called it out for what it was because it's like she's not helping you ultimately at the end of the day. She's giving you zero advice how to have these relationships. So even if the idea isn't getting married, I'm not married yet. We're working on it. So I agree to some perspective. Yeah, you have to figure out what your goals are versus the work you want to put into it. And it's like some people make it's like, oh, I see them posting every day, like, I want to get married. I can't wait to have kids. I can't wait to have a family. But then when you're posting stuff like this, it's like you're contradicting what you want.
Shooting yourself in the damn foot.
And it's like, but you're like, it's like that, yeah, but it's like I worry about it as well because it's like I studied psychology in college. It's like you're programming your brain quite literally to believe this stuff. So it's like you have to, if you want to be single, you want to be happy, then great. But if you're single because you're damaged, because you had a bad relationship and you're going through deep emotional trauma, you need to work on, you can't blame men, you can't blame women, you can't blame single mothers, you can't blame married women, you can't blame anybody. You have to repair you, you know? And it's like, that was kind of my point. That's really what and I don't know, it just was not, it was not welcomed. Like my presence there in that conversation was not welcomed.
And a lot of times it's not going to be, people don't want that. And that was part of that. That's what kind of made me, it did something in my head with my nonfiction book. I published that in March of 2019. Mm-hmm. I actually put it out, and I let somebody get in my head. I let somebody who I believed knew better than I did what made books sell, and they came at me and were like, well, hey, it's going to need work here, and it's going to need work there, and it's going to need work here, and it's going to need work there. And because I believed they were more knowledgeable than I was, I let that get into my head. I listened to it. And when I went to them and went, hey, well, you've pointed out all these things. Can you help me fix those things? She's like, well, yeah, but it's going to cost you.
She set you up for the sell. Oh, wow.
But it was already in my head that there were these problems with the book. And because of those problems with the book and my not knowing how to make those fixes, or not feeling like I was
capable,
competent enough to make those changes myself and make that book do better selling, it was literally published for about a month and a half, never sold a single copy. So I pulled it and I didn't put it back out. I also had, and it was one of those things where, you know, it was, well, this would be good. It'd probably sell really well to the people that actually want it. So you're going to have to very targetedly market people that are looking for ways to sell their book. And they're going to have to believe that it's their reputation that's going to make the difference. And if you can't convince people of that, then I don't know why you would even put out that kind of a book.
Facts.
That got in my head, and that made me pull the book. You know what? Maybe they're right. There's not anybody, nobody wants to be told
What to do.
What to do. Guess what? They do like having an option available.
Facts.
When they decide that they want to do it. So why am I not putting the book out there? Why did I pull it? Because I let it get into my head that people weren't going to respond based on what somebody else told me. Right. Now that it's been almost 2 years. I have a bit more perspective and a lot more experience in the industry. And now I'm working with a lot of people that are doing more nonfiction publication. So I have a better understanding of what sells nonfiction style books. And it is literally a need. People looking for not hearing the same old shit. We can hear the same thing 150 times and pick it out every time. Yep, don't want to read that. They said, but that other guy said, yeah, I ain't gonna read that because that's what the other guy said. But you get somebody who throws it out there that your reputation is a responsibility, that empowers them. Oh,
you feel like you can take it.
I might actually read that.
Yeah.
But it has to be their choice.
1,000%. I think you really hit on like one of my biggest limiting beliefs in my career. Like I was saying earlier, I don't promote myself. And it's like you kind of like just open my eyes for the first time on that. Like, even if people don't like the context of my book, like, isn't it up to me to like decide, or up to a person in general to decide that for themselves? That's not up to me to decide. That's not up to someone who doesn't like me because they don't like my life or they do like my life to decide. You know, it's like some people.
If you live in China or you live in Russia or you live in some other communist country where somebody up at the top says what you can and what you cannot do, then yeah, but we don't live there.
We live in America where there's complete freedom for people to make choices and have their own sense of beliefs and ideas. Yeah, I totally. And it's like, no, it's just inspired.
And here's the twist in it, because it wasn't the government that came in and said, hey, you can't sell this book. It wasn't an agency that came in and said, hey, your book's not going to sell. It was a single person.
It was a hater disguised as a friend, Christy. They disguised themselves as an ally and they ruined me. Oh my God, like it's those people.
Yeah, and you know what the takeaway on that is? They didn't ruin you, you did.
I did, because I didn't trust my own work. I didn't allow it to like not.
You let them in. You let them in. You took what they said and you believed it. You had that moment of, you know what, you're right. And the moment you do that is the moment it all goes down the shitter.
I feel like I wrestle with that.
You got to put those. You got to put that up there. Look, I wrote this book for a purpose. I want this book to serve this purpose. I didn't write this book because I want to make millions. I wrote this book because people need to be aware that their reputations are important.
I want to help millions. And the only way to help millions is to give them this book. And if they buy the book for 50 cents or $1, I might by proxy become a millionaire. But the first idea is I want to help 1 million people. I feel that, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't get too capitalistic.
Yeah, yes, and I get that. I don't ever, I'm not money driven, so my first thought does not automatically go, I'm not money driven, I am business driven. So my thoughts go a little bit differently. I don't look at facts and figures, I don't look at numbers, I don't look at sales. Right. I look at the business side of things. Are people going to be helping? Is this going to help?
Does it serve people?
Does it serve people? Exactly. If it doesn't serve, I don't put it out. And that was a hard reconciliation for me, because one of the things I've known this for a very long time, but I write fiction. When you write fiction, you have a really hard time nailing down exactly how you serve. Because it isn't in the story, it isn't in the books that you produce. For me, it's more in the process of what I went through going from getting a book written, because I do NaNoWriMo. I've written novels in 30 days and published them a year later. So going through that process and speaking up about, look, I mean, when everybody was touting, grow your email list and send out these monthly newsletters full of crap that nobody gives a rat's ass about, but do it because then you own that list. I have a newsletter. I have an email subscription service. Guess what? I don't send out things. It's a way for me to allow my customers to connect with me.
Facts. It makes you available.
Yeah, because, man, do you know how many emails I'm subscribed to?
That I don't.
When I first got in, hang on one second. When I first got in, and that was what everybody was teaching, man, I get 3,000 emails a week. 3,000 emails a week. How many do you think I open?
I delete most of mine. I'm at the point where I can't subscribe to any more emails. Like I can't, why am I trying to say this? I can't sign up for email subscriptions because I'm on too many lists already. I've reached the limit.
Like
I didn't know that was possible.
The set limit?
I didn't know it was possible, but I've reached the limit. I can no longer sign up for any. I discovered this trying to sign up for someone's like their blog, and it like would not allow me. And they're like, that's weird. I'm like, let me check. And it's like, no, you're on too many. And I don't know any of them.
And that's the hard part. That was what made it hard for me, because the majority of the ones that I signed up for, especially way back in the beginning, they were my friends. And this is why we've had the conversations about support and what it looks like.
Yeah, well,
because when I first got in 2016, it was all about building your email list and sending out newsletters and using that newsletter to sell your books. You have a captive audience. I see the point in that, but at the same time, it's like I've got 3,000 emails that come in on the daily from different people. They aren't sending out daily emails, they're sending out monthly, and I'm getting 3,000 of them a day.
How do you clean out your email folder? What is that process like for you?
It is an entire, well, it's easiest on your phone. You sit there and you have the swipe. Yeah, you just go through and look at it, and if it's come in the last month, it is what I've gotten to. If it has come in the last month, I keep it. Anything older than a month, it goes, because I'm never going to go back to read it. I'm not where I was when that came out.
Word.
There are very few. The ones that I actually open and read fairly religiously now are the ones from Robert Kiyosaki, and a few of my the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy.
Yeah.
He is still a mentor to me in a lot of ways. I don't agree with everything, but I still follow because I understand and appreciate the Rich Dad Poor Dad concept.
Yeah, I like the fact that he even introduced it to me to begin with. That was in one more cyclical thing, and with that cycle, I think we're good.
All right.
We've been going on we can definitely do this again sometime now. Hopefully we can I think it might have been fixed out that someone did not join, because we had a lot to talk about. Dude, God bless it. I hope that you feel cathartic. I hope this was a good release for you.
I do. You see, my posture is good, and
your whole vibration.
My whole vibration is good. There's a smile on my face. My eyes are like slants. Yes, I'm in a good place right now, and I appreciate that very, very much.
Go share that with your husband. Make him happy and force him to make you happier too.
You see, the game is paused. He's actually gone out without me. So.
Oh well, pick up his game for him and see what's on. Play yourself some Minecraft. It was a great time, though. Thank you so much.
It was. And thank you for doing it. I mean, it's you never think about it in the moment, but once it starts happening, it's like, okay, that was good.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to stop it. I just wanted to let you just flow. You know, I might have a conversation with someone one day that's like a 10-minute conversation because I thought I was going to do all the speaking. So thank you. Like I learned a lot from you today. So
Thank you.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I picked up some things from the other person in, and so it's just me and Will on this video like this, and he's like looking at his computer and he's doing this thing, and his computer is like his screen is over off to the side, so I'm side viewing him, and he's like this, and then he looks over every once in a while, and we're having this conversation, and I'm like, man, I just got to tell you, this has been a really phenomenal experience being a fly on the wall, getting to watch you make these connections with people. He's like, yeah, it is pretty powerful, isn't it? And I mean, like dead face.
He's jaded.
Stop what he's doing and looking dead at the camera and like having a conversation with me and being very, very open and very authentic, communicating and telling me about how, yeah, we're setting up a lot of these meetings, and a lot of them are coming in just with the intent to pitch me on their thing. They don't want to hear about my shit. And I went, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, that's not really helpful. And he's like, no, it's not. And I was like, but you still give them the time. He's like, absolutely. You're damn right. I give them the time.
Because ultimately that still reflects back on him and his reputation, how he comes up. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm like, man, and I told him, I was like, man, and I really laid on the gratitude, because ordinarily I wouldn't be able to experience that. I wouldn't be able to see that. And I'm proud of it because I noodled my way into that position. I walked in kicking doors, man. I'm telling you, I walked in and was like, stop. Y'all are trying to put on an event that is going to affect my people, my writer friends, my family. You're asking me to sell tickets to these people. You're going to have to put on one hell of an event.
Facts.
And they're like, oh, okay. All right. And I was like, yeah. So now I'm on the part of the planning committee, and man, I told them from day one, you are not going to be able to pull this off as large as you want to and as grand as you want to.
You can make it good.
January 15th and 6th or 16th and 17th. Oh yeah, we will watch us. And I was like, all right, I'm watching. Go ahead, carry on. Oh yeah, I'm doing blog posts. I'm doing my part to sell tickets. Ain't nobody else connecting to my blog. Guess what? The week before the event was supposed to go live, they postponed it to March 20th. They don't have the time to make it as grand as they wanted to.
They should have listened to Christy to begin with. Everybody should just listen to Christy.
And here's the thing, okay? It wasn't about me being my initial thought was, man, I need to work. It would be great for me to be able to have a conversation with Gary Krebs and Rick Frischman. Point blank. That would take my credibility to the next level. It really would.
Just to have the conversation.
Just to have the conversation in public, for me to be able to have the conversation and have people see that conversation.
Biggest facts.
So, guess what hasn't happened?
We haven't even talked to them yet.
But guess who I have gotten to talk to?
Elon Musk.
Not yet. Not yet. No. This is Will Cashin. This is the guy that works with SpaceX, and he's the engineer behind the creation of the cars. He's the guy that did the actual engineering setup process for the cars and for SpaceX. And he runs a foundation, a charitable foundation. Elon is
it's like getting to talk to Wozniak instead of talking to Steve Jobs. It's like, it's still big.
It's still big. Yeah.
You're talking to the actual mastermind instead of the marketing dude. Yeah, I totally.
And we're having powerful and profound conversations.
That's what it's all about.
And it's not like we're not doing an interview like this. It's not anything that was recorded. But guess what? When somebody starts talking later on about something, there's going to be something that triggers that conversation that he had with me.
Big fat. And then he whispers your name in the right.
No, my name's. So I make jokes about I'm right now. I am all about making people know my name. That's it. I don't care if they buy from me. I don't care if they.
Just the exposure.
I don't care if they, I don't care if they never make me any money. I'm going to bend over backwards to do whatever I can. And guess what? Gary and Rick know. They don't know, we've not had a one-on-one conversation.
They know you.
But they know me. They know that I'm there. They know that I'm helping try to guide this in the direction that they want it to go. But the two guys that are hosting it aren't in publishing. They're off in other stuff. So it's Gary and Rick doing the publishing, and they've got a separate room. They've literally set up an entirely separate room for publishing. If you're talking about book and you want to take your book career to the next level, you want to be in that part of the event.
Facts.
But now if you're somebody like Elon Musk or want to be where Elon Musk is, then you get in and you talk to the other people. And if you're in the business world and you want to take that to the next level, you get into this other room.
Makes sense.
I'm focused on the event as a whole.
Yeah.
But I'm really narrowed in on making sure that publication part is exactly what my people need. And guess what's needed? Do you need another panel of talking heads sitting there telling you what to do and how to do it? What do you need more than that?
Legit advice?
No, you don't. What don't you know that you can't fucking Google, man?
That's very true. What is it then? What is missing?
How would you like to sit and have a conversation with Gary fucking Krabs?
Facts. Yeah.
Or Rick Frischman?
Being able
what
to
would that change in your life?
Yeah, that's it. When you go to like a live event, like I got to meet R.L. Stine and Art Shamsky, and it's like with R.L. Stine, he was so far away. There's no real room to like have a discussion with him. But with Art Shamsky, I got to shake this guy's hand. I was right physically next to the dude. It's like with R.L. Stine, like we could have been in two separate worlds, even though we were in the exact same room together. We could have been in two separate freaking worlds. I got to I got to look Art Shamsky right in the face and have a conversation with him. It was a whole different vibration. So even though R.L. Stine is one of the kings of fucking horror, one of the kings of kids fiction, of kids horror, Art Shamsky just played for the Mets for a while. I'm not even a baseball guy. Take your time.
No, I'm listening.
No, that's kind of just it. Just piggybacking on that point, because I high key really have to get going. It's almost 4, so this has been about 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
finish up. No, find what you're looking for. Find what you're looking for. I'm not.
My one of my books, one of my horror series about fog. People have actually compared to R.L. Stine.
If you can find the book real quick, go for it. Hey, kitty.
My Hobie.
Hey, cat. Oh, that's Hobo.
That's Hobo.
He's like, yup.
Yeah, what do you want? Where are my books?
You got to top shelf them next time. Top shelf like the wine.
Oh my God. Well, there's one.
Nice.
That's my debut novel.
That's a good time. That's a really good cover.
That's the anthology.
The Unknown.
Where are? Oh.
That's a big cat.
Yeah. That's my boy. I found him in a motel room. I was going through some tough times in March with some roommates that we had at the time.
Word.
And I had reached a point where it was the shutdown was coming.
Word.
And I was like, I know if I stay here, one of us is going to end up going to jail. And if it's me, I'm looking at prison. If I stay here any longer, if I stay here and we go into shutdown, because there's nowhere for me to go. If I can't get out of here, I can handle any kind of a situation if I can walk away when things get bad. But you put me in a position where I have to, it's fight or die.
I'm not dying.
I ain't dying. I ain't dying. And because I knew that, and I knew the direction things were moving in, I took what we had in savings and some money that we had coming up, and I put myself in a motel room away from that situation.
You got to do what's best for your health.
This cat, on like my 5th day in the motel room, the cleaning lady and I are having a conversation because I'm working on book stuff, and I'm always sitting there at my computer in the window looking out and waving, and we have great conversations.
Nice. And
this cat comes barreling over the top of her cart.
Yeah.
Into the room and wraps himself around my leg.
He's like, "You're mine now, human."
Refused to leave. And man, when he came in, he was not small. He's the size he is now. Hobie, come here. Hobes. Come here. Yeah, come on. Come here. Come on.
Conversation.
Yeah. He speed it up a little bit. He was not a little cat then.
He's like my dad at Mittens.
Yeah, he's not come here. Let go. He's not, he's definitely grown. I think he was about 7-8 months old when I found him. But he was just so skinny and so like I picked him up. And when I picked him up, his shoulder bones and his hip bones pinched the nerves in his spine and he went limp.
Oh, wow.
Just being picked up, that's how thin this boy was, huh? Yeah. He'd been left. They were working on a room in the motel, and it was over a 4-day weekend. He got into the room and they didn't realize it, and so they closed it up and locked him inside for 4 days. No food, no water. So when this lady found him, she started putting food out for him, but she'd been trying to find somebody that had come to the motel to adopt him. And he hopped over the cart. And I'm good with cats. I don't mind having cats, but I'm living in a fucking motel room right now. The last thing I need is a pet. You know what I mean? So that's where my head is. And then this cat comes in and he wraps himself around my leg and refuses to go. So I reached down and pick him up, and this little fucker rubs his head against my chin, and I was like,
I'm lost. Okay.
That's it. I texted Henry. I texted Henry immediately. It was like, we have a cat now. So yeah, it was just one of those things where, and he's thrived. I mean, he's come so far, and now him and Henry, the relationship between the two of them, you hear him. He's a very vocal cat.
Yeah.
Him and Henry have conversations. And that move where I picked him up and put him over my shoulder, I'm not going to do it on camera because to me it looks abusive.
Yeah.
But this cat loves to be put over the shoulder and have his ass just like pounded on.
Cats like
and
that.
He'll just be like, oh yeah.
Some humans like that too, to be honest with you. But that was I'm happy to have met Hobo finally. Happy to have kind of met your husband. We had a great conversation. Now I gotta let you go.
Yeah, I need to go figure out where he went. So you have a good one. Thanks so much. And
Thank you,
let's do this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Talk to you soon, bud.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.